Hello guys, today it's me again, and I'm here to review every Pink Floyd album, all 15 albums, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 albums, no live albums included. I'm not including any live albums. I did include an album that most people wouldn't count, but it's something. So Pink Floyd, I will say, they're probably one of the greatest bands of all time, honestly. Pioneers of progressive rock, really just in general, some really good band in general. And they may not be like pioneers of like multiple genres like the Beatles or something like that, but like they just really like made a bunch of good music for people. And that's the main thing that you really want to see. Yeah. So the first album is the Piper at the Gates of Dawn, and this album it's a decent beginning. It's a decent way to begin the Pink Floyd catalog. Came out in 1967, and when they were recording this album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was being recorded at the same time. So they took a lot of inspiration from that. So you kind of hear that kind of Beatlesy sound. Overall, it's a decent debut album. It's also full of secrets. Some people say it's either better or worse than the first album, but I think it's okay. And then there's the third album, More. Now, by the way, I am skipping through most of these, just so we have time. The third album's More, and plus the early albums, I don't have much to say. So More is actually a soundtrack for a movie called More, and and you know what? You think that it would be like meh, but you know it's a really good soundtrack. Honestly, I've never seen the movie More, but it's a good soundtrack. And the fourth album is Amagama, which is a terrible album. Terrible album. First album with David Gilmour, I believe, actually. The only good tracks on there are live tracks, and that's the funny part. I said there's no live albums, but Amagama is half a live album plus a new live track, and then all these studio tracks. The next up is Atom Heart Mother, which is their first badass album, I would say. Now, Atom Heart Mother like has this epic 25-minute anthem in the beginning, basically. This really just big, gigantic thing. It's really cool. And then it just goes absolutely nuts near the end of Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast. Next album is Metal. By the way, we're in the 70s now, so next album is Metal, which is in 71. Metal, I don't remember most of the album, but it ends with Echoes, which Echoes is probably their best song, honestly. And it's a 20-minute epic. That's what Pink Floyd's known for, these really long epics. And Metal is a crazy song. Oh, I forgot to say Wamagama, their worst song, Several Small Species Animals. I don't know what the hell the song is. Oh, man, like... Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, it's, something. The Metal has Echoes, and it's a very good album. Obscured by Clouds is an album I can't remember a single song of. But I can remember Several Small Species from friggin' Amagama, but I can't remember anything off Obscured by Clouds. Then the next up is The Dark Side of the Moon, which is their first like masterpiece, as some people would say, and I own it on CDs. Now this is flip camera. This is a flip camera, so you're seeing it backwards. It's actually meant to go this way. So yeah, overall it's a fantastic album. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. You're gonna have to you have to check it out. It's one of the highest rated albums of all time, I believe, actually. Oh man, I'm reading someone texting me right now. Oh man. And yeah, Dark Side of the Moon. It is really one of the. It's the first album I actually love by them. It's the first time I listened to them by. It's really good album. Fantastic piece. Wish You Were Here is the next album. Now, Wish You Were Here is it's their follow up. It's not as good, but it has one of their really good tracks. That's Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Um, Organ in the Machine is a good track. Wish You Were Here, of course, Have a Cigar. The whole album's pretty damn good. Dark Side of the Moon, I forgot to say, my favorite track on that is probably the whole Time, Great Gig in the Sky, and Money thing. Then the next album's Animals, which Animals is like out of like the really good album from that time period. Animals is like my least favorite from that time, and that's just because like the tracks don't stick out as much. But there's some great writing, great production on it. The song Dogs is a classic out song, 17 minutes long, very classic tune. But yeah, it's just a good album. It's just decent. There's not much else you can say, to be honest. And then The Wall is next up, and The Wall is probably their best. It is their best album, and it's probably my favorite album of all time, honestly. Because The Wall is just a good album piece. 26 songs over an hour long. Not the songs over an hour long. That would be like 26-hour long album. But yeah, if the songs were an hour long, I would love it. I love it more. But The Wall, I think it's also one of their highest rated albums too. Like it's also their last album that actually really got great. Well, not actually when first came out, it's kind of hated, but nowadays it's still now. But nowadays it's really loved. While the ones past it are not as loved, even though I'm gonna go more in depth. So after The Wall, they followed up with The Final Cut. Again, it's reversed, so it's actually meant to be this way. And The Final Cut, is like it feels like a prequel and a sequel to the Wall, and it's mostly just an entire Roger Waters album. There's nothing much to say. It just feels more like it doesn't feel like Pink Floyd, and that's the main problem with this album is it doesn't feel like Pink Floyd. But is it a good album though? I don't think this album deserves the hate it all gets. Like this is a very good album. It's also very emotionally touching. It's a great album overall. You gotta listen to it. And then next up is A Momentary Lapse of Reason. Now, A Momentary Lapse of Reason is when they became more poppy. Now, by this time, Richard Wright left in The Final Cut, and I believe he came back on this album, but Roger Waters, he left after The Final Cut, and he just left for good. So Momentary Lapse of Reason is the first, like, David Gilmour sings, like, all the way through album. And you would never, if you're a fan of Pink Floyd all the way back in 1967, you probably would have never expected David Gilmour to be, like, the full-on lead, like, not even, like half lead. But yeah, it's great. It was a crazy time for Pink Floyd, but this has more of a pop sound. Learning to Fly is an iconic tune from their catalog. I don't think it's one of their best. Some people say it's one of their best. I don't think it's one of their best. Albeit the Delicate Sound of Thunder shows did seem pretty cool. I won't lie. Overall, just a good piece. And then there's the Division Bell, which is more like a swan song, and it sounds like Pink Floyd, but the pop tropes start coming back in, like, later on. And then, of course, The Endless River, which is... Endless River is terrible. It is terrible. The Endless River, it still has the Pink Floyd sound, unlike Momentary Lapse of Reason, but it's just not a very good... It's not a very cohesively made, well-made album. It's kind of a mess, honestly. Just like Amagama. Amagama is also a mess, too. But yeah, that was my reviews of, like, every Pink Floyd album all in a row. All 15 albums. And now I might do full in-depth reviews someday, but, like... I don't know, I just kind of wanted to do more of these every album this catalog reviewed. I only own the Dark Side of the Moon and Final Cut. I want to get The Wall sometime. It's a fantastic album. And Animals, too. I wish you were here. And Metal. But, yeah. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.